Is everyone able to see me? Am I audible? Am I audible? Can you? Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Rajni. So I have a question for you guys. Before I would proceed with the session, I just want to know which audience, what is your background? If you're student or working professional, or if you are a computer science student. So I'm sending this poll to you so you can answer it. Am I audible, guys? Okay, thank you. It's great. Then we have 2 CS students and 1 student. So considering we have almost all of them being students, let me share my presentation. Okay. So are you able to see my screen? So we are from Tact Hub, where we help you shape your career with us. So what is the roadblock we will be facing when we are going to start our career? Most of the college students, like BTech graduates, the campus placements are pretty low this year due to COVID effect. So most of us will be going to off campus, or we need some extra qualifications so that we can actually crack the job and get through the minimum vacancies that those are available. So what is the thing that can actually help us? So there are many courses online. So data science is a fad, and so is the blockchain, and there are several things out there. So we want a course. We just don't want to waste our time, right? Doing any other courses, we spend our time and energy and money on it. So we want to do some course which can be like ubiquitous all-rounder. This should help us to learn programming, and after we learn programming, it should help us in landing a career in various roles. So I would like to propose you one course which includes Python. So this Python is a we all know Python, right? This is a high level programming language just like C and Java. But the difference between Python and Java is very evident. Even Python is an open source and community driven technology like that of Java. There are several features of Python that set it apart. And some of them are It is dynamically typed and it is object-oriented language. So what is a language other than if we leave the applications alone? So what's the most important feature of any language is the applications. We all know there are technologies like PRL, Perl, and C hash and several other technologies. There are some technologies due to non-readability, non-user friendliness, they were stacked back because they are no longer used in applications. You need not fear that about Python because Python has varied applications, including GUI-based desktop applications. There is a special toolkit in Python which can help you in designing desktop applications for the OS. And this can involve various kinds of desktop applications, including those in the image processing and graphic design to scientific and computational applications and games. And then the famous and there are a lot of jobs in this area, the web frameworks and web applications. If you can learn any other web technologies apart from Python like Node.js, Express.js, etc., then it will be very useful so that you can get into the job of a web developer. And we can also use Python in enterprise and business applications. Yes, actually I was working on an enterprise and business applications and we are using Python in our company. And we can also use the operating systems and prototyping of anything. And there is also something called language development. So Python is a language which can be used to develop other languages. So why Python? The one thing that's so unique of Python is it is very easy to master. If you can check a normal Java program, this is how it looks. Class, hello world, and you can see you need not just remember the class definition, which includes several keywords like the public, private, and the access modifiers, and the class keyword is there, and then the class name. And next to it is the method definition, and every class should have.
So I hope everybody is back. If yes, please
Excuse
let me know
me.
in the chat window or you can bring the cooking studio, please.
Yeah, I just have some issue. Okay. So are you able to see my screen full screen or is it fine? Is it full screen? So this is it. You can see the contrast difference where many lines of code in Java can actually be implemented using a single line called print hello world. And if you encounter some programs in which you need to print a string 100 or 1,000 times, you can just put hello world into 100, and you know in that star operator hello world into 100. So that makes it so less number of lines and more amount of application. And in addition to that, we need not specify the each and every variable type. Like you need not mention string, integer, you need not remember the types. You can just, it is like dynamically it takes the types of the different variables. So there are there is huge importance and there are several features in Python. So one of the importance of Python is the presence of third-party modules. So it's not just that there is limited functionality in Python, because whatever the new functionality one needs in Python, they can develop their own custom module, which is third-party module, and ask Python to add in their existing modules. Extensive support libraries. So there are several support libraries for the task so that we can do the automation. And it is open source. So if you are working at smaller projects, you need not worry about the cost. learning is and support is available. There are several forums available online. If you have any question, you can just shoot them out, and it is very easy to learn because I just showed you, right? One line is enough to cover several lines. It is especially useful if you go into real software development and you see like I hope most of you has done the project, right? Project in the fourth year. So how many lines of code did you write the entire project in? If anyone can mention. Uh, can you give an estimate of how many lines of code have you used in your project? So when I did my first case study, I had used about like 1000 or 1500 lines of code because it was an MVC Java project and the number of lines of code is huge. But if you wanted to do the same in Python, the number of lines of code will be reduced a lot. Uh, yes, yeah. I totally agree with you, Nishan. So I think a lot of people have joined. Can I have a brief introduction of you guys? Okay, I will allow you to speak. You can speak one by one by raising your hands. Hello. Yeah, Rajni Yadav. Let me unmute you. Yeah, you are unmuted. Rajni, are you able to speak or is there an issue? And the next person, Rajni, then I'll come back to you if there is some audio issue with you. I can just go back to the other person who has raised the hand, Rachit Srivatsava. Yeah, Rachit. So can you give us a brief introduction about yourself? Yeah. So, Rajni, are you able to speak now, or is there any issue? Okay. Okay, then I need to use a poll right now. Rashri Gupta. Okay. That's good, Rachit. So you're from computer science. So, do you have any prior knowledge of Python? I assume you have. Seeing the large amount of people being on mute, uh, let's have I think there are many new people joining, so why don't we wait for a few minutes before we resume our session? Yeah, Rajshri, are you able to like? Is your audio available? If you are not able to speak, you can just chat. Yeah, hi Shivam Singh and Prashant Chaudhary, Rachit Srivatsva and Nishan Kumar. So I see a lot of CS guys over here. So may you also pick the field you're interested in, like which role and which job you want to take on in future. I can suggest a few options like data science, machine learning, blockchain. Hi Vivek Kumar, Ankit Verma, and Yash Gaur. Durgesh Kumar. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, am I audible? So is it fine? Am I audible now? Okay, okay. Thank you. So let's start with the futures of Python. A simple Python programming will go like this. You just need to give the class definition, and then you can directly write in the several statements involved. Like for example, there is some print statement. You can this is the hello world statement. We all have known previously. So if you want to print the hello world several of times, you can just print so this will print excuse me. Will print hello world about 100 times. And if you are interested in printing any of the special characters, like some people can actually design a table or a stars, like a table of stars, then that can also be done. If you can just press like this star and type into 4, the result will be somewhat like this, 4 times. So these are some very simple tricks. Are you Princey? I'm not audible. Am I not audible? Am I not audible? Kamran, Afat, you can just mention the issue here. Okay, okay. Thank you, Nishan. So these are the simple things we can do with Python. There are several other things in Python we could do. Some of them are automation testing. Automation testing mainly uses the Selenium framework. Automation testing mainly uses the Selenium framework. The Selenium framework may be based on Java, or you can we also have a Selenium library in Python. So how can we use Selenium library in Python? You just need to import the Selenium, and after you import the Selenium, there are several other features in Selenium which help us in data scraping a website. For data scraping any website, we need to import the driver. Once we import the driver, we need to install a software for each and every browser. For example, let us suppose we have a Mozilla browser. For Mozilla browser, we have something called as Gecko driver. So we need to have this Gecko driver before we start automation, web scraping, in web automation or web scraping in Mozilla browser. Similarly, if you are using Chrome, you need to have a Chrome driver. Once you're done with downloading and installing the driver, you need to point the Selenium Python to the driver. So once you give the path of the driver, then your driver will be the driver will, okay, then your web driver will take control of your website. So while you already have taken control of your website, you need to mention the URL so that URL will be entered in the browser. You have several options of typing username or text, or you have a separate option to type a password, which will be like protected version. So after you type the username and password and log into any website, you can scrape the contents. Scrape the contents of the website using several tools available. You can also use Beautiful Soap, several other libraries which will also be like efficient in web scraping. This is one of the applications of automation of Selenium automation testing using Python. There are several other applications of Python. Like one of the most common used application along with the automation testing is web designing. If you are, or most of us are CS students, so I guess you know Django or Flask. So if anybody knows Django or Flask, can you raise your hands? Oh, that's good. I see a few number of hands here. So let me explain what's Django or Flask. So as we know, there is something called MVC architecture, right? The model view and controller architecture. So this model pertains to the web VC, like whatever the front end or the web part or the HTML or CSS part, which is visible to us. This is the thing that end user can see. There is other thing called, view is the thing that the end user can see. Is the front end that the end user can see. Model is where our business logic lies. There is another thing called controller, which is primarily in our hands as a developer, where we need to specify the logic that connects the business logic, that is the model, which consists of basically yes, Nishan, you are quite right. Django is like a full stack web framework, whereas Flask is a micro lightweight web framework. Okay. So the controller is the part where we write the logic that maps everything. So if you Flask is like very easy to master tool. It is like a lightweight framework in so that it won't consume most of your memory, and you can do all these automation tasks along with using Flask. Okay. So that whatever the UI you have will rest on Flask and the automation work. And if you need to, like, suppose we have a requirement, in which we need to scrape off the data. There is some website, okay? Let us mention as Zoom website. So, let us assume that there is a website like e-commerce website like Flipkart. In this e-commerce website, there is a list of things we have ordered. So everything we have ordered is on the Flipkart orders list. And this is the business requirement I would like to show. Like, so orders are present in the orders page inside the account. Okay. So our requirement is to let's scrape all these orders, paste it, an Excel sheet. Then an Excel sheet, right? Uh, so this is one thing that can help many of the small businesses, because we as a general end user, we don't have much use about this requirement. But let us suppose there is a small business which is ordering something from Flipkart and then selling in retail to its users. So in such a case, we need to get the list of the orders by logging into Flipkart website every now and then, and list out the orders and put it in an Excel sheet, including the amount, like the list of the order and the amount of the order. This is how the Excel sheet should look like. Product name. So these are the two columns we had decided that Excel sheet will have. So what does this requirement mean? The first thing we need is Selenium, where we can get the where we can extract data from Flipkart. Second thing we need is Excel automation. So there is some library So there is some particular library on called as XLS Writer, and there is also another library where we can open the workbook and worksheet for Excel automation. So we can write we can read the Excel sheet and get the data from Excel sheet, including several using several modules that are available, like XLS Writer, XLRB, are available in Python. So this is how this requirement can be achieved. So currently I don't have the software in place, so I cannot show you the exact project, but this is how it works, like how this requirement works and how we can implement it technically. So coming to another project, another thing we can do using Python. So to do anything using Python or any other language, we need to have the basics. So first thing, any basic regarding any language is the syntax. And the second thing is the data structures. The third thing, especially in Python, is the different libraries we can use. And fourth thing is their application specific libraries which can help us in doing some application specific tasks like Flask and like Selenium, which is used for automation testing, and like Pandas, which can be used to extract and manipulate the data sets. And there are also other libraries like Seaborn, which is used in visualization, and Plotly. These are all the things. If anybody is interested in artificial intelligence, then the first step you need to do after you learn Python is master these libraries. Seaborn and Matplotlib for the visualization part, the Pandas and NumPy for the data manipulation part. In addition to these libraries, which we can use in data science, even the there is also like other libraries which can be used in Python for other purposes. So let me know if you guys are interested in a sample data science project. Even though I may not be able to show you the code, I can just show you the implementation. Uh, so how many of you guys are interested in data science? You can just ping me. If the count is enough, then I can show you a live data science hackathon project I have done previously. If you are interested, you can just ping the chat. So I take it as an yes that people are interested to see a data science hackathon project looks like. Okay. So this is the data science hackathon I have participated in. It is called All India ML Hackathon, which was done under Analytics Vidya. So as I have previously mentioned, Python has several libraries. So even in C language, when you need to perform H and several other necessary libraries, right? So these are the libraries we import over here. And what do you mean by libraries? These libraries are like code. Like what? They are like a group of functions. If you consider writing a program for each and every code, it's quite a tedious task. So we have like a few important functions that we perform regularly, and they are made in that code is put inside a function so that the function can be called whenever we require it. And many of such functions of the same type are grouped together in a library. Pandas is one such library which is used to handle data frames. And coming to data frames are a type of data structure in which if we can read an Excel sheet, it can be converted into data frame. Data frame consists of rows and columns and it can be manipulated and joined, appended, concatenated together. It can also be edited depending upon the conditions in columns, like the column name or the column content. So these are one of the very few options that are available in pandas. And the second thing is NumPy. NumPy is one of those libraries which are used to manipulate vectors and can be pretty much called like a mathematical library. As I have previously told, Matplotlib, this is the visualization library. So if you have something called data and you just don't know like how much of a particular data is in one category. For example, let us take different people, different heights, and some of them did pass the exam and did not pass the exam. So you want to know like how many people of what height, like let us suppose people, like students, the class of the students, and the pass percentage and the fail percentage. So what you are interested to know as a teacher is like how many students did pass the exam and how many students of what class passed the exam. So how can you know that? You cannot go through the entire list if the number of students is more. So you need to do the visualization. You can just create a plot in which you can in which you can see. I can show you a plot as well. Yeah, this is one of the plots. This is a pie plot in which in which there is an information like the number of projects that are approved and number of projects that are not approved. You can see, right? The blue set, whatever the blue in the pie chart represents the number of projects that are accepted, and the yellow represents the number of projects that are not accepted. So these kind of visualizations actually help us in knowing like which projects, like the percentage of projects and what kind of projects are there. There are several other plots in addition to these pie plots called as bar plots. In these bar plots, there is a clear distinction like the number of projects for each and every class that were accepted given by the blue color on the top, that were rejected given by the yellow for each and every class. Okay. So there are several things we can know about the data by using visualization. Before the visualization comes the data cleaning part. So why do we need to clean the data? It's because most of the data we received in real time. I'm not talking about virtual data sets. I'm talking about the real time data sets. In real time, we have a lot of junk. We have a lot of empty fields. We have a lot of special characters or not a number characters. But our machines, even our whatever we feed, like our logic, can only read numbers. So for our logic to read numbers, everything should be converted from text, NA, or whatever the image format or whatever the format it is, they need to be converted into numbers. So that part is called vectorization. So there are several things involved in a data science project. Let me use the whiteboard so that I can write it down in clear. Whatever a data science project, what's the following steps? Data exploration or data analysis. That is presided over by data cleaning in case of real world projects. After the data exploration, data analysis, we have the data visualization, which is also actually a part of data exploration itself. And then the task begins, like vectorization of the data. And I have a question. Why do we need to vectorize the data? And you can just comment in the chat section. Why do we need to vectorize the data? Why do we need to vectorize the data? Okay, so Nishant Kumar, you told something like parallel processing. Of course, parallel processing is something we need a lot in data science, considering the huge amount of data and computations we need to do. But vectorization is something different. It is about more about translating your data to your model. As the machines, it requires the same simple. Akanksha Umar says it requires the same simple operation to be performed on each element in a data set. Yes, it is, but many other primitive operators can also be vectorized. I don't converting an algorithm from operating on a single value at a time to operating on a set of values at a time. Yeah, I have to agree with all of you because you told like each and all of like these are different facets of the same crystal, so they are different sides of the same coin. So the first thing why we need vectorization is like while we are doing a yes Misha Manish Kumar, it's available in the net, like but there are several courses in the internet in which you can easily be lost because most of them are rich in content like 150 hours 200 hours of courses, and how much time can you actually give to these courses, and will they be useful regarding the time you spent on these courses. Like some of the courses are like costlier and they have large amount of content which can discourage us in cases if you are not able to complete the course. So my aim is to provide you crisp content, like very short content, but this content you can directly implement it. It will not be some theory because we all know theory anyway, and theory can be also summarized. So mostly my code, this is just an introductory session, so I don't have my software correctly in place. But when the real course starts, we can just go into the implementation the first day itself. So the of the vectorization, we have the model building. So what is the model building? We are all talking about data, right? So what is machine learning actually? In machine learning, the difference between conventional programming and machine learning is that when you have something like, let us suppose you want the system to figure out what to do next. How can it know? You just need to mention, right? For example, a ball is dropped on the floor. You just need a cat or a dog to go pick up the ball in case the ball falls. If not, it should just sit. This is the program you want to give to a cat robot. So how can you write it? It's just a simple if and else. If the ball drops, you can gather the ball. If the ball doesn't drop, sit in the same position. This is some kind of coding, like this is the coding we can do for a cat robot. But in case there are millions of combinations, like for example, it's not just one combination, the ball drops or not. There are several other combinations. Then writing like hundreds and thousands of rules and getting only very few outputs is very cumbersome. So in such case, we need to shift from traditional programming to machine learning. The difference in machine learning is we need not write all the rules. We will just allow the system to make its own rules. Like we will provide the input to the system, we will also provide the output to the system. So it will just do the matching, like for which inputs we are getting which outputs, and what is the correlation between the inputs and outputs. For example, if I say, like if an event occurs, like for example, about 90% of the students who studied in IITs get about more than 3 lakhs of salary. Okay. So the system will correlate. This rule can also be made by the system. If the system can get the inputs of people from different colleges and how much salary they are getting per annum after the placement. So it checks the people, like students, the college. So it can make a rule by itself, like people from this college are getting this amount of salary. The median amount of salary for people from this college is this, and the maximum amount of people getting graduating from IIT are getting this amount of salary. So if we just type a name of the student who is already in the data set, then it can give the data like this person can get this amount of salary. If we can, this is the scene data, right? This is the testing phase. But if we want to know like how many, if a person studied in IIT, how much salary can he get? Give an estimate in future. So it depends upon different conditions. It can give an estimate like what the salary curve can be. Okay. So the system can figure out the rules, and for any data we give the system, it can match it with the existing data, and the rules made by the existing data will help in forecast the output for the given data. So that's basically what happens inside the machine learning. So in order to feed, machine learning feeds on data. So all we need to provide is the input and the output. I'm currently focusing only on supervised learning because output is not provided in every kinds of machine learning. As you're all students, I'm not sure if I can go deep into the different types of machine learning and explain each and every one of them. If I can, you can just type S. Okay, then I take it as a no. So these are the several steps that are involved in data science model, and there are further examples. Okay, I can give you a summary. That's okay. So a machine learning project will be divided into 3 phases. Okay. First phase involves the data. The second phase involves the model. And the third phase involves the optimization and deployment. We just call it deployment and productionization. Optimization is something called the model optimization. So initially we get the data like the inputs and the outputs, and after we clean the data and make it readable by the system, and we analyze the data like how much data we have and what kinds of data we have, etc. So the model is something we can design by using several algorithms and mathematical techniques. For example, the simplest model is the linear regression. Linear regression is like plotting the different data on x and y axes, which is example of linear regression. So let us assume we have, let me pardon my drawing skills, but let us assume this is the x-axis and the y-axis, and we have different points. Okay. Different points, several points over here. So what we need is a line. We can draw a line that connects each and every point. Okay. So if in future we have a data somewhere on the x-axis, like we have a data over here, so we need to figure out, like for example in 2019, let us take this as 2019 over here. This is 2018. 19, 2020. Now we have several points on the y-axis, like 20, 30, and 40. So what the linear regression or the simple machine learning program does is, we have a point like in 2019 that 20 people, 20 new millionaires. Okay, in 2019 there are 30 new millionaires. So we have a data like in future in 2020 how many millionaires will be there. So we draw a line connecting 2018 and 2019 data. So we should be the straight line. Okay, so we have the 2020 over here. To get like how many millionaires will be in 2020, we can just plot it to the line. We can just draw a straight line to the line and get the same amount on the y-axis. So this is the predicted value. Like there can be a 40, like there can be 40 millionaires in 2020. And how did system predict this? Because it figured out an equation between the year and the number of millionaires, and the factors involving in deciding the number of millionaires will not just be year, because year is just the x-axis. There can be several factors involved, which makes it not just a two-dimensional thing, but there are several dimensions. Okay, to give an overview, we just need to feed this data and let the machine learning system define the rules, which is the model, and we can help the system figure out the rules properly by optimizing, which is very much like helping your model do better performance. And the last thing is deployment. So every software needs to deploy it on a server, on a desktop where it can work. So this deployment in machine learning is kind of complicated because we need to use other technologies. So we should have a Docker container, etc. So we can deploy this machine learning model, and there is also an option to deploy a machine learning models in Android in our own phones. So they are different courses and they need a lot of time. So for now, I just gave you the overview, like how can we use Python to do a data science project, and how can we use Python to do an automatic testing like web scraping the data, and how can we do an Excel automation using Python. So it seems like we can also use Python for blockchain, which I can cover in later courses. So if you guys have any questions, there is actually one PPT I have prepared apart from the technical presentation, apart from the technical aspects we have discussed, which involves like the different features of Python like portability, extensibility, etc. So what do we get from it? So if we learn a technology, it should help us, right? The first thing a technology can help us is something a skill can help us in landing a job. So these are the future scopes of Python. Python is the preferred language for any new beginner, especially non-CS students, to do their first steps in programming because it is easy to understand and easy to implement. The other things for Python is use the automation, testing, machine learning, etc. So you just need not land a job immediately if you do a Python course. You can also do some freelancing on the side apart from the job you have done. So there are some really good freelancing projects available. You just need to get their contacts. So most of the freelancing is done in Python. The other types of freelancers include UI designers and web developers, but most of it is done in Python because Python is like very good technology to do any kind of automation. You can just automate all those Excel files that are used in your projects. So Python can be used literally everywhere. You can use web automation, Excel automation, like every mundane task can be like automated using Python. And there are several usages of Python. Like if you learn Python, these are the several job roles, like these are the several careers you can explore. Like you can be a web developer, for which you need to learn Django and Flask. Django and Flask in addition to Python. And for automation engineer, you need to learn Selenium library in Python. And to become a data science, you need to learn math, pandas, PyTorch, or TensorFlow. Depending upon the demand, if you guys are interested in a pure data science course instead of a Python course, then I can teach you TensorFlow and PyTorch in addition to Python. Okay. You can also do a sample blockchain development in Python, and you can also be an API developer. And one more thing is like people from product companies generally prefer Python developers and Java developers. So these are the job positions that are available for Python enthusiasts currently. These are all the things I got from LinkedIn Job Network. So there are some Python automated software testing engineer jobs available, and the development engineer, and the OpenStack developers, API developers, product engineers. As I have previously said, there are several product companies looking for Python. This is one of the product companies. And you can also be an analytics specialist. What is the difference between data science and analytics? Well, it's very simple. Data science is like a huge circle, and there are several things underneath it. So in data science, we analyze the data, like data manipulation, and creating reports so that we know what is in the data. This part is called analytics. And if we want to create a model which can like learn the rules, like how can we use the data to get output for unseen data, that thing is called machine learning, and it is basically a machine learning model designing. So data science consists of both analytics and machine learning model designing, including the optimization and deployment. So data science is the last thing, like senior data science. I don't think you can get senior without experience, but you can also try data science engineer, and as it has high salaries compared to other jobs. So there are several companies using the Python. It's not just a few companies like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, which are the service companies. There are several small companies like Datamatics, Candela Labs, which are startups like SoftPath, etc. And there are also big companies like JP Morgan and Chase. Google and Microsoft even use Python in some cases. So who should learn Python? I suggest everyone who is new to programming and who are like at the graduate level, like who has just completed BTech, to master programming. Even the CS students, even if they already know like programming and Python, they can learn several aspects in Python programming and master it, because this is an important skill, whether it is web development or automation or blockchain or data science. So it is the basic for everything. And there are some experienced people who are trying to switch to data science from support roles or manual testing roles, so they can also learn this Python first, and finally the people interested in automation testing. So I want to give an info about this technology. So these are the major features and applications why we should choose Python. One thing is the Python popularity is huge, like it is a trend in software to learn Python. Even experienced software designers are learning Python to boost their resume and give them new opportunities. And the salary of Python, people who know Python and who are Python developers, is huge. Python is used in data science and it is also used in big data. So if you think data science is something that takes you a lot of time, you can also invest time in Scala, Hadoop, etc. For which also you need a basic programming language. Python can be used. And scripting and automation. For those of you who want to adopt a much better role, which work-life balance, etc. We know like automation testing has work-life balance. Like even though the salary is average, the work will be considerably better. So in that case, you can use this Python for scripting or automation and testing. So computer graphics can also be done in Python. I'm not sure of the implementation, but it seems that computer graphics can do in Python. We can use computer graphics like in artificial intelligence using Python, where we can create, you heard something like deep fakes, right? Like where the computer generates images and videos which of people who are not really there. Like it can generate an image of a person that looks exactly real, but that person will not be available anywhere in the universe because it is completely created by the system. So that is one example of artificial intelligence, GANs or deepfake. And we can also use Python in web development. It is a very portable and extensible technology. I think we learned this about Java previously. Like Java can be compiled on any one of the operating systems because and we need not change the code every time the OS changes. This is also one important feature of Python, because it is also portable and can be used across different operating systems and even different softwares, like different hardware systems. It is not just about computers. We can use Python for microcontrollers like Raspberry Pi, PlayStation. We can also use Python in IoT. IoT is one of the emerging technologies where we need to develop something so lightweight. We can use Python for it. And we have several, like there are so many websites that are actually built upon Python. And if I may say, Instagram, Bitbucket, and Pinterest are built on Django and Flask. You know how important and how easy and how efficient is Python. So this is basically the first presentation. So I did not cover many aspects regarding Python. So if you guys have any questions, you can ask because there is still time. So you can just pose your questions to me. Any questions? Or if you have anything that you think I should cover. Hello. Hi. I will give you like 15 minutes, or if there are no questions, then I can just close the session. For you guys, or like, thanks, Nishan. Okay. So, any of the other people like who want to learn anything new about Python? Okay, thank you, Akansha. I promised you that I would show you some real presentation, right? Like the hackathon, All India hackathon. I can just show you that in a few minutes, okay? Because we still have time. So this is the machine learning hackathon project of mine. So this is completely like owned by me because there is nothing uh, related to my company. It's completely a personal project. So here I have imported all those modules and I have read the data and I did some data manipulations, like customized data manipulation, because this data set has too many features. Like it is, if we reduce the number of features, like it is called feature engineering, we can get a better model. So all these are different featureizations I have done. And as I have previously mentioned, all the data needs to be vectorized because there is some text data. So all this data I have converted into numbers, and these numbers I have fed into a class model. So I have used a random forest classifier over here, and because this data has some imbalances which I have deal with using SMOT, which we can learn later, don't stress on it. So I also have used another model for Adabus just to compare it. And finally, I output whatever the data, like prediction data. For I got the outputs for the input which we did not use for training data, like new input, whatever we are getting it. like what can be the output for it. I let the machine guess it. So this is how I output the CSV data, and I can share you the output file as well. So I guess I don't have the output file with me right now, but there are several other machine learning hackathons I have participated, and this is the AMP Decipher hackathon, for which I have the output Excel file. Yeah, this is the output Excel file of one of the hackathons. So in which I have used the ID, and this is the output CC cons which I got. So it is completely a number output, but it does not mean like whatever the output we get, it need not be a number. Like if you want to get yes or no, or if it is red, yellow, or green, this is called something called classification, in which we classify whatever the input we get into a cat or a dog. Example like that. So there are also other those kind of machine learning models as well. So the machine learning and data science is really a huge subject. Machine learning and data science is really a huge subject, and it will take a lot of time. So for now I can just conclude this session. I will leave you a few more minutes for closing the session. Like, okay. So thank you everyone for patiently listening to whatever the information or project uh, I've been teaching in this live session. So if any one of you are interested in joining the course in Python, you can ping the person who gave you this live session, and you can also mention a second line like what are you interested to learn, so that I can customize the course. Like some people are interested in automation, some people are interested in data science, some people are interested in blockchain. So if you actually let me know your interest and what you already know, so when you say that you want to join my course, I need it to be on 3 lines, like what you already know, name, background, college should be included in that. And the second thing is what you are interested in, and like the career or job you want. And the third thing is like your college or background. Okay? CS, non-CS, if you're doing job, etc. So yeah, thank you Akanksha, yes, Nishan Kumar, Prashant Chaudhary, and thank you all guys. I'm just signing off. Have a good learning journey. Bye bye. Thank you, Shivam, Durgesh, Pavan, Avnash. If you're interested to know more, you can just Vishal Chagi, you can Aftab Alam, thank you, and each and everyone. I'm just signing off the session. Bye, guys. I'm ending the session. Thank you.